is
Okay, well, hello everybody, my name's Laura Parker, and today I'll be giving you a tour of my collection of contemporary archaeology. So the collection really focuses on disposable plastic of our society today, and plastic as a ubiquitous material that is so ingrained in our society and our earth. Can you have a hands up who's used a type of plastic today? Okay, what type of plastic have you used?
Water bottle.
Yeah, was it disposable one?
I have no idea.
Okay, what about you?
toothbrush and the little plastic bottle drinks.
Okay. So every toothbrush ever created hasn't degraded yet in the environment, which is quite a horrible fact really, isn't it? Okay, so the first plastic was made in 1907 by Leo Baekeland, and it was a type of synthetic polymer called bakelite. Plastic is identified as a series of molecules which is categorised by their polymer structures which maintain under virtually any conditions. So this means even if it's heated up, it still remains as plastic. And even though this is good as a container for liquids and solvents and acids, it means that it becomes problematic when it comes to disposal. Our consumption of plastic completely outweighs the amount we recycle it. So for example, 1 million plastic bottles are bought per minute, yet only 7% of these are actually recycled. Similarly, the use time is really small compared to how long it actually lasts in the environment. Carrier bags, for example, only have a use value of about approximately 12 minutes, yet they last for up to 1,000 years. Obviously, we don't actually know how long they'll last, as plastic has only actually been around for about a century. Okay, so let's move on into the collection. If you'd like to follow me, please. If you can't see at the back, we'll shortly be moving through, so you'll be able to have a look in a minute. Okay, so these two specimens are types of low-density polyethylene from Worcestershire. And low-density polyethylene is used for quite lightweight characteristics, such as carrier bags and the packaging you find in things like greeting cards. Both of these specimens are actually quite hard to excavate, as the plastic is quite fragile. So I had to use a particular consolidant it was acrylic resin called Acryloid B72. So you spray it on it, and I excavated it and put it in a frame to keep it intact. So we move on down the corridor. This is a type of high-density polyethylene, so it's only marginally denser than the low-density polyethylene over there. But high-density polyethylene is slightly more opaque and stronger, and so it's used for things like plastic bottles, such as milk bottles. And here we can actually have a very unique specimen. You can see here that the bottle handle has actually remained intact here. And we can see the screw tap, and we can actually see some letters talking about the pints in the milk bottle itself. I actually decided to keep the soil on this particular specimen because I think it's important to see it as a recent excavation. This is something that's around us today in our contemporary society. So we move on into the room. Should be able to fit everybody in here. Okay. So these two specimens, specimens 4 and specimen 29, were actually found in my excavation in Pembrokeshire. I first went there, I just finished my archaeology degree, and I was really interested in finding specimens from the Silurian period, which is about 460 million years ago. However, I actually found something from the last century, and this really sparked my interest in the contemporary archaeology of today. So this really sparked my interest in the Anthropocene era, so where human activity has actually started to affect the natural world around us. This really links to plastigomerate. Has anybody heard of a plastigomerate before?
No.
Okay, so it's a type of new rock found in Hawaii. So the beach found in Hawaiian beaches and the molten rock from the volcanoes has started to form a new type of rock that is being exhibited in natural history museums worldwide. So it's quite interesting with these new fossils and the natural rock there, that there are new kind of hybrids being formed in the natural environment around us. If we look in the cabinet here, I've got different examples from Northumberland and Hertfordshire, which show the different type of rock that these specimens are formed in. Fossils are usually formed in 3 different types of rock. We have sedimentary rock, which is a combination of sand and silt. We have igneous rock, which is a type of molten rock. And then we have metamorphic rock, which is sedimentary and igneous rock, which has been hardened by pressure or heat. And these show some, again, low density polyethylene, so we can see some fragile lines here. And again, we have high density polyethylene over here. So the pictures around the room show my process of excavation. So how excavation usually begins is that we locate the specimen and then we use tools like hammers and chisels to remove the bigger bits of dirt and rock from around the specimen. We then use more gentle tools such as the paintbrushes over here to get away the finer bits of dirt so we can actually see the imprint of the material. These specimens are then taken to a lab, so they are examined and studied so we can kind of work out what kind of plastic, what kind of bottle it was, and if we can't tell this by the shape or the imprint, we can do some chemical tests on it to work out what type of plastic it was. And then this picture over here, this shows that after the lab, we take it to be characterised and displayed in a collection and cabinets like this. So this cabinet on the table here shows again high density polyethylene, and like the corridor outside, we can see some quite fine patterns in the artefact. If we move on to the cabinet over there, we just turn around. So this is a quite a unique example. We've got quite a well preserved cap of a bottle, and this would have been from polypropylene, which was used to case things like acids and solvents, so it's quite a resistant material. This is actually my favourite fossil. I'm actually going to get it out to show you. And I'm going to see if you can guess what type of plastic was used for it. We have to be quite careful when handling fossils, as we don't want them to get broken. Okay, right. I really like this fossil because it's quite subtle. Could I ask you if you could have a look at it? Can you see what this imprint might be?
Maybe like a bottle cap?
Yeah.
The lid of a bottle?
Yeah. Do you recognise it's some kind of logo from a bottle?
Maybe like a Coke bottle or something like that?
So this is actually a personal bottle, which is a laundry detergent. So we can actually locate this. That's quite interesting because we can locate this from the past year or two. So we can actually give this a date, maybe 2016, 2017. Right. So if we move on to the next fossils. Oh, sorry, this cabinet's okay. So these fossils here, look to the fossils of that cabinet over there with the same pattern, so we can assume this might be polyvinylidene chloride. And these fossils at the bottom were found in Cornwall. So fossils are usually found in places like cliff sides or more coastal regions, and this is because of the more sedimentary rock there with the sand and silt. What's also interesting is that because these specimens were found near the sea could have washed up the plastic debris from around the world, really. So I've tried to look in more rural and urban areas when I've been excavating, and these specimens here are actually from London. So we can see that this plastic waste in our environment is all over the UK and indeed all over the world. And I think that's what I really want to show for my collection, that we may not see it, it might be under the ground, it might still be in the soil, but we need to do something about the problem. And that brings me to the end of my tour. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to take a leaflet, we have leaflets over there. I'll have a look at my website, www.parkercollectionca.weebly.com. I also have a residency at the Cole Museum of Zoology on campus if you'd like to have a look at some more specimens. But if not, the collection will be on tour around the UK. So thank you very much for coming.
Okay, if the audience could now leave us, that would be super great. Thank you.